Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. Today, we're tackling this idea of finding purpose in pain.
Okay.
We're going to be looking at this article from shopandtalk.org called "Finding Purpose in Pain: Lessons from the Bible."
Mm-hmm.
It was published January 5th, 2025. So,
This year.
yeah, this year. And what I really like about this article is it's not just this, like the typical stuff you hear from these stories, but
Right.
it's like the deeper kind of hidden stuff.
Yeah.
And,
It's the stuff that's applicable to us,
yeah.
even if we're not
Even if you're not religious.
particularly religious.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, how does this apply to your life?
It's so fascinating how these stories can be almost like a psychological blueprint for resilience.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The article starts off by saying that pain, as unpleasant as it is,
Right.
can actually push us towards self-discovery and purpose.
Okay.
Have you ever noticed that in your own life? Like after maybe a really difficult experience you've had?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting. There's a growing body of research
Oh, really?
in psychology that actually backs that up.
Mm.
That facing challenges,
Okay.
whether it's personal loss or professional setbacks,
Right.
or even physical pain, can actually trigger profound personal growth.
It's
like this crucible
yeah.
that forces us to kind of reevaluate our priorities and our values and ultimately who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Right.
But this is like,
It's true.
yeah. But instead of just a catchy phrase, we're actually seeing how this plays out in these ancient stories.
Yeah.
One that really stood out to me was Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane.
Okay. Familiar story.
That scene, Jesus knowing that he's about to be crucified is in such agony that he sweats blood.
Wow.
Right.
Such a visceral image that goes beyond just physical suffering.
Right.
There's a medical term for it, hematidrosis. But,
oh, wow.
But what's really remarkable is how it speaks to the immense psychological pressure that he was facing.
Yeah.
Imagine that weight of knowing that your purpose, your destiny, is about to lead to such brutal death.
It's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
But it also makes him incredibly relatable, don't you think?
Absolutely.
I mean, we all face pressure, even if it's not on that scale.
Yeah.
Deadlines at work, relationship struggles.
Yeah.
Even that feeling of not enough-ness that we can get bombarded with these days.
And that's what I love about these stories, is that it offers this framework for understanding and navigating our own pain, no matter what form it takes.
Okay, so we've got Jesus facing this immense pressure.
Yeah.
But then the article brings up a story that I wasn't as familiar with.
Okay.
David as an outcast king.
Interesting.
We all know the epic battle with Goliath.
Right, right.
But before she was king, David was on the run hiding from a jealous king Saul.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lesser-known part of his story.
Yes.
But so crucial, I think, for understanding his character.
Yeah.
Imagine the pressure of being hunted, of losing your home,
Yeah.
their security, everything,
Like your whole life is uprooted.
And during this time, he wrote many of the Psalms,
Oh, wow.
which are filled with just raw expressions of loneliness and fear and anger.
Wow. So he was going through it?
Yeah.
Like,
It's incredibly humanizing.
right.
Yeah.
And the article really emphasizes how instead of collapsing under that pressure,
Right.
David actually honed his leadership skills
Interesting.
during this time.
Yeah.
He had to become resourceful,
Right.
strategic, and learn to rely on his own inner strength.
Like a crash course.
Yeah. It's like his time as an outcast was a crash course in leadership.
And leadership. Right.
Even if it wasn't the kind that he expected.
That's such a good point. I
Yeah.
love that. It
Yeah,
flips
yeah.
the script on what we typically think of as leadership development.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always about formal training or mentorship.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about navigating those intense, pressure-filled moments
Yeah.
and emerging stronger on the other side.
Like trial by fire.
Yeah, exactly.
And that resilience, that ability to turn pain into something positive
Yeah,
is something we can all learn from.
I think so.
But what happens when those struggles are misunderstood even by the people who are supposed to support us?
Oh, that's rough.
That's where Job's story comes in.
Oh, yeah.
And let's just say his friends weren't exactly winning any best friend awards.
Right. Their reactions are almost comical
Yeah.
if it weren't for the serious implications.
Yeah.
Instead of offering comfort,
Right.
they judge and blame Job for his misfortunes.
It's like,
And it just highlights how societal pressure can actually compound our pain,
yeah.
making us feel even more isolated and alone.
It's like adding insult to injury.
Yeah.
You're already going through something incredibly difficult. And then you have people piling on, making you question yourself even more.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
I think we've all encountered those Job's friends at some point,
Absolutely.
maybe even without realizing it.
Yeah. And it makes me wonder how much of their reaction
Yeah.
was rooted in their own discomfort with facing pain. You know, maybe they simply couldn't handle the intensity of what Job was going through, so
Yeah.
they tried to rationalize it,
Right.
to explain it away in a way that felt less threatening.
Like they were trying to protect themselves.
Almost like a defense mechanism, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it makes me think about how often we do that, maybe not to the same extent,
Right.
but that urge to avoid uncomfortable emotions, both in ourselves and in others.
Right. Because it's easier to just like push it away.
Yeah. And it raises this question, I think, for all of us.
Yeah.
Are we willing to sit with discomfort,
Mm-hmm.
both our own and that of others?
Yeah.
Can we be present with pain without trying to fix it or explain it away or
Yeah.
offer unsolicited advice?
Yeah.
It's a challenge,
It is.
but I think it's essential for truly supporting those around us and ultimately for our own growth.
Now, the article also mentions Isaiah,
Okay.
and this one really resonated with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
We tend to think of prophets as these
Right.
unflappable figures,
Yeah.
but Isaiah, even though he received, divine messages, he also struggled with fear
Interesting.
and the urge to withdraw from the world when things got tough.
Right.
It's a side of him we don't often hear about.
I think we tend to
It makes him so much more relatable.
put these biblical figures on a pedestal,
Yeah.
but they were human, just
Yeah,
like us.
exactly.
They faced doubt, they faced fear,
Yeah.
temptation to run from their purpose.
Right. And what's interesting about Isaiah is he initially tries to hide,
Yeah.
to say, I'm not worthy, I can't do this.
Right.
But eventually he embraces his calling and finds his voice.
Powerful.
And that's a powerful lesson for us, isn't it?
Yeah.
We all have moments where we feel inadequate, like
Yeah.
we're not cut out for the challenges life throws our way.
Mm.
But Isaiah's story reminds us that sometimes facing our fears
Yeah.
and stepping into our purpose
Yeah.
is the very thing that leads to growth and transformation.
It's like that Eleanor Roosevelt quote.
Ooh, like this.
Do one thing every day that scares you.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah. It's not about seeking out pain,
Right.
but it's about acknowledging that growth often happens on the other side of discomfort.
Yeah.
And speaking of discomfort,
Okay.
the article uses this striking phrase, fainting under pressure.
Yeah. That one really got me thinking.
Yeah.
It's such a visceral image, right?
Yeah.
It
Welcome back,
captures
everybody,
that
for
feeling of
another
being
deep dive.
completely overwhelmed.
Today we're
like you hit your
tackling this,
limit and you just can't take it
this idea of
anymore.
finding
We've all been
purpose in
there,
pain.
Whether it's
Okay.
a mountain
We're going to
of
be
work
looking at this
deadlines, a
article
family
from
crisis,
shopandtalk.org
or even just the
called
constant
Finding
pressure to
Purpose
be
in
on
Pain,
all the
Lessons from the
time.
Bible.
Yeah. It's a universal
It was
human
published
experience.
January
It
5th,
is.
2025.
And the article
So-
reminds us This that year. the Bible is
This year.
full of
And what I really
figures
like about this article is
who
it's not
faced
just
this kind of
like
pressure,
the typical stuff you
who
hear
felt
from these
like giving
stories,
up.
but it's like,
Right.
it's like the
But
deeper kind
ultimately
of
found a
hidden
way to keep
stuff.
going.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
That's the stuff
like
that's
Job,
applicable to
who
us.
lost everything.
Yeah.
Even if we're not
his family,
Even if
his
we're not
wealth,
particularly
his
religious.
health.
Right,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
But
how does this
still
apply
refuse
to
to curse
your
God.
life?
It's so Powerful. fascinating
Or
how these
Paul,
stories
who
can be
endured
almost like
persecution,
a psychological
imprisonment,
blueprint for
even
resilience.
shipwreck.
Right.
Yeah.
He continued
The
to
article
spread his
starts off by
message with
saying that
unwavering
pain,
faith.
It's like they
as
found
unpleasant
this
as
source
it
of
is,
strength
can actually
Yeah.
that went
push us
beyond their
towards
circumstances, something that
self-discovery.
allowed them to
Have you ever
persevere,
noticed that in your own
even
life?
when they felt like they couldn't
after
take another
maybe a
step.
really
And that's
difficult
the
experience
key
you've had
takeaway
here,
here,
isn't
yeah.
it?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's not about being
And it's interesting,
superhuman
there's a
or
growing
having
body of
some
research
magical
Oh, really?
ability
in
to
psychology
resist
that actually
pressure.
backs that up.
It's about
That
finding that
facing
source
challenges,
of strength,
Okay.
whether it's faith,
whether it's
community,
personal
or
loss
even just that
or
deep
professional
down
setbacks,
belief in ourselves
Right.
or
and
even
drawing
physical
on it when
pain,
things get tough.
can actually
It's like
trigger
we're all
profound
carrying this
personal
well
growth.
of resilience inside
It's like this
us.
crucible
And sometimes
that
it takes
forces
those
us to kind of
pressure-filled moments
reevaluate
to reveal
our priorities
how deep
and
it
our
truly
values.
is.
I love that
and
image.
ultimately who
Yeah.
we are, the well of resilience.
It's like
And
that
that's where the
saying,
article gets
what
really
doesn't kill you
practical,
makes you
because
stronger.
it doesn't just
Right.
leave us with
But
these
this is
inspiring
like-
stories.
It's true.
It actually
Yeah.
outlines
But instead of
steps
just
we
a
can
catchy
take.
phrase,
Okay.
We're
to
actually
build
seeing how this
resilience
plays out
and
in these
find
ancient
purpose in our
stories.
own
Yeah.
pain.
So we're
One
moving
that
beyond the
really stood out
theoretical
to me
into the
was
realm
Jesus in the
of
Garden of
like
Gethsemane.
actionable advice,
exactly.
the things you can
You know
implement.
that scene,
Yeah.
and
Jesus
it starts with this
knowing that
concept
he's about
that
to be
might seem
crucified is
simple,
in
but
such
it's agony that
incredibly
he sweats
powerful
blood.
Ah,
Reflection.
wow.
Okay.
The
It-
article
such a
suggests
visceral image
journaling
that
as a
goes
way to
beyond
process
just
your
physical
emotions
suffering.
and gain
Right.
There's
clarity
a
on what
medical
you're
term
going
for it,
through.
hemidrosis.
Have you ever
But-
tried
Oh,
journaling?
wow.
But what's
yeah,
really
journaling is-
remarkable is how it speaks
it's a
to
practice
the
I
immense
recommend to a lot of people.
psychological
Yeah.
pressure because it's like he was facing.
Yeah.
Creating a
Imagine
safe
that
space
weight of knowing
to
that
explore your
your
thoughts and
purpose,
feelings
your
without
destiny
judgment
is
is about
Right,
to lead
like
to
no one's
such
gonna read-
brutal
You can be
death.
completely
It's
honest with
heavy
yourself in a
stuff.
journal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it also makes
can
him
be really
incredibly
liberating.
Right.
relatable.
And
don't
sometimes
you think?
just
Absolutely.
the
I
act
mean, we
of
all
writing
face
things
pressure,
down
even if it's not on that
can help
scale.
you identify
Deadlines at
patterns
work,
or
relationship
insights
struggles.
that you wouldn't
Even
have
that
noticed
feeling of
otherwise.
it's
Not
like you're creating a
enoughness
map
that we can
of
get
your own
bombarded
inner
with these
landscape.
days.
And that's what I
And
love about
once
these
you have that
stories
map,
is
you
that
can
it
start to
offers
navigate
this
your pain
framework
more
for
effectively.
understanding and navigating
The
our own
next
pain.
step the article
no matter what
mentions
form it
is
takes.
prayer.
Okay,
or
so we've got
meditation.
Jesus
Okay.
facing this
Yeah.
immense
Those practices
pressure.
can be really
Yeah.
helpful.
But then
Yeah.
the
For
article
finding
brings up a
peace
story
and
that I wasn't
solace
as familiar
in the
with.
midst of
David
difficult
as an
times.
outcast king.
And even if
Interesting.
you're not
You know, we all know the
particularly
epic battle with
religious,
Goliath.
Right,
meditation can be
But
a
before she
powerful
was
way
king,
Absolutely.
to
David
quiet the
was on the
mind
run,
and cultivate
hiding from a
sense of
jealous
inner
king Saul.
peace.
It's
Right,
like hitting
yeah.
the pause
a
button
lesser known
Yeah.
part of
on
his
all the
story.
noise and
Yes.
chaos of
but
life.
so
Exactly.
crucial, I
Yourself
think,
a
for
chance to just
understanding his
breathe.
character
Yeah.
and reconnecting the pressure of being hunted.
But it's not just about
of
individual practices.
losing your
is it?
home.
No.
Yeah.
The article also
security,
emphasizes the
everything, you know?
Like your
importance
whole
of
life is
community
uprooted.
support.
And during
Remember
this
how we were
time,
talking about
he
Job's
wrote
Right.
many of his
unhelpful
songs,
friends?
Oh,
The
wow.
opposite
which
of
are
that.
filled with
Yeah,
just
this is about
raw
finding those people
expressions
Yeah.
of
who truly
loneliness and
get
fear
it.
and
Yeah.
anger.
Wow.
Who can
So
offer
he was
support
going
and
through
understanding.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
It's incredibly
Without
humanizing.
judgment.
right.
Yeah.
And
Or
the article
unsolicited
really
advice.
emphasizes
Right.
how
It might be
instead
family
of
friends, a
collapsing
support
under that
group,
pressure,
or even a
Right.
therapist,
David actually honed
the
his
key is to
leadership
surround yourself
skills
with people who
Interesting.
can
during
hold
this time.
space
Yeah.
for your
He had to
pain
become
and help you to feel
resourceful,
less
Right.
alone,
strategic, and learn
It's
to
a
rely
reminder
on his own
that we're
inner
not meant to
strength.
go
Like a
through
crash course.
difficult times in
it's
isolation.
like his time as an outcast
need
was
each
a
other.
crash
We
course
do.
in
Especially when things
leadership.
get
And leadership.
tough.
And
Even if it
sometimes
wasn't
we
the
might
kind
need
that he
more than just a
expected.
That's
listening
such
ear.
a good point. I
The
love
article
that. It
suggests
flips the
seeking
script on
guidance
what we
from
typically
mentors or
think of as
counselors or
leadership
fresh
development.
perspectives and support.
You know, it's
What
not
are your
always
thoughts on that?
about
I think that's a great
formal
idea.
training
Yeah.
Yeah,
or
sometimes we
mentorship.
need
Yeah.
that outside
Sometimes it's about
perspective to help
navigating
us
those
see
intense,
things more clearly
pressure-filled
or
moments
to offer
Yeah.
new
and
tools
emerging
and strategies
stronger on
for
the other
coping.
side.
like trial by
And there's
fire.
no
Yeah,
shame in asking
exactly.
for help.
And that
No, not at all.
resilience,
Mhm.
especially
that
when
ability
we're
to
dealing
turn
with
pain
difficult
into
emotions
something
or situations.
positive.
In
Yeah.
fact,
It's
it can be a
something we
sign
can
of
all learn
strength
from.
and self-awareness.
I think
It
so.
is.
But what
to reach
happens
out.
when those
It's like
struggles are
admitting you
misunderstood
need
even by the
directions
people who are
when you're
supposed to
lost.
support
Exactly.
us? You wouldn't just
Oh,
keep
that's
driving
rough.
around in circles, would you?
That's where
Right.
You'd
Job's
pull over
story
and ask
comes
for help.
in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the same with our
And
mental and emotional
let's just say his
well-being.
friends
I think that's a
weren't
perfect
exactly
segue
winning
into
any
the
best
next
friend
part of our
awards.
deep
Right,
dive.
their
We're
reactions
gonna
are almost
explore
comical.
Yeah.
this
If it
idea
weren't for the
of
serious
community and
implications.
shared
Yeah.
experience instead of offering comfort
in more depth.
Right, right.
They
Because,
judge
as we've seen so
and
far,
blame
these
Job
biblical stories
for his
even though they're
It's like,
and it just
thousands
highlights
of
how
years old,
societal
Right.
still
pressure
have so
Yeah.
much
can
to
actually
teach us
compound our
about
pain,
navigating
making
Right.
us feel
the
even
inevitable
more
challenges of
isolated and
being
alone.
human.
It's like
Yeah.
adding
It's like
insult
they're
to injury.
timeless.
You're already
They
going
are
through something
timeless.
incredibly difficult.
It's crazy how these
and
stories
then you have
still
people
kind
piling
of resonate
on,
with us
making you
today.
question
Yeah.
yourself even
You know,
more.
we might
Oh,
not be
gosh.
facing
Yeah.
I think we've
literal
all
exile
encountered
or
those
plague,
Job's friends
but
at
those
some
core
point.
emotions,
Absolutely.
Maybe even
Right.
without
Doubt.
realizing it.
yeah,
Fear,
and it makes
Yeah.
me
that
wonder
feeling of being
how
overwhelmed
much of their reaction
they're still
Yeah.
so
was
relatable.
rooted in their own
Absolutely. It's like
discomfort.
they tap into
with
something universal
facing
about the human
pain.
experience.
You know,
And
maybe
the
they simply
article does
couldn't
a good
handle
job
the
of
intensity of what
connecting
Job was going
those
through, so they
ancient
tried to
struggles
rationalize
To
it
the kind of
to
pressure we
explain it
face
away
in modern life.
in a
You
way
know,
that
like
felt less
having
threatening.
too
Like they
much
were
on our
trying to
plates,
protect
constantly
themselves.
juggling
almost like a defense
work, family
mechanism,
relationships, and
Yeah.
trying to keep it all together.
and it makes me
And
think
the
about
article
how often
actually
we
uses
use that
this phrase,
maybe not to the
fainting
same
under
extent,
pressure,
Right.
but that
which
urge
I think
to
perfectly
avoid
captures that feeling of
uncomfortable
being
emotions,
completely drained,
both in ourselves
like you
and
just
in
can't
others.
take it
Right,
anymore.
because it's
Yeah.
easier to
Have you
just
ever
like
felt
push
that
it
way?
away.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. And
Yeah.
it raises
I
this
think we all
question, I
have at
think,
some
for all
point.
of us.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
hitting that
Are
wall
we willing to sit
where
with
you just want to
discomfort
shut down and hide
both
from
our
the
own
world.
and that of
Right.
others?
But the thing
Yeah.
is,
Can we
these
be
biblical
present with
figures,
pain
even though they were facing some
without
pretty
trying to
intense
fix
situations,
it or
Right.
explain
they
it
didn't
away
just give
or
up.
Yeah.
offer
They found a
unsolicited
way to keep
advice.
Yeah.
going.
And
It's a
that's what's so
challenge.
inspiring
It
about
is.
their
But I think
stories.
it's essential
is that
for
they
truly
remind us
supporting
Mhm.
that
those
even when
around
we
us
feel
and
like
ultimately for our
fainting
own
under
growth.
pressure,
Now, the
Right.
article also
there's
mentions
this
Isaiah.
source of
And this one
strength
really
within us
resonated
that we
with
can
me.
tap into.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
We
article
tend to think
highlights
of
a few examples
prophets
of
as
these
unflappable
like Job,
figures.
Yeah.
who
But
remained
Isaiah,
steadfast in his
even though he
faith,
received
even after losing
divine
everything.
messages,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or
he also
Paul, who
struggled with
faced
fear
persecution and imprisonment,
and the
Oh.
urge
but
to
continued to
withdraw
spread
from
his
the world
message
when
with
things
unwavering
not tough.
determination.
Right. So it's
a
like
side of him we
their
don't
faith
often hear
became
about.
this
I think we
anchor
tend
that
to.
Yeah.
kept
It makes
them
them so much more
grounded even in the
relatable.
midst of the storm.
Put these
And
biblical
it's not just
figures on a
about having
pedestal,
religious
Yeah.
faith.
But they
Right.
were human.
It's about finding
just like
that
us.
thing that
Exactly.
They
gives you
faced doubt.
strength.
They faced
Whether
fear,
it's your family, your
temptation to run
community,
from their
Yeah.
purpose.
Right.
your
And what's
passion
interesting
for about
cause,
Isaiah
or
is he
even just
initially
that
tries
deep
to
down belief in
hide.
yourself.
Yeah,
to say,
whatever it
"I'm
is.
not
It's
worthy,
about
I can't do
recognizing that
this."
source of
Right.
strength
But
and
eventually
drawing
he
on it when things get
embraces
tough.
So it's not just about
calling and
enduring
finds
the
his
pressure,
voice.
Mhm.
but actually
And that's a
finding a
powerful
way
lesson
to
for us,
grow
isn't
from
it?
it.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
all
To
have
become
moments
more
where we feel
resilient, more
inadequate,
capable,
like
Yeah.
we're
more
not cut
aligned
out
with
for
our
the challenges
purpose.
life throws
Exactly.
our way.
And the article really
But Isaiah's story
dives into
reminds
this
us that
idea of
sometimes
resilience,
facing our
Okay.
fears,
emphasizing
stepping
that
into
it's not
our
something you're
purpose
born
Yeah.
with.
is
Right.
the
It's a
very thing that
skill,
leads to growth.
Yeah.
a
and
muscle that you
transformation.
It's like that
develop
Eleanor
over
Roosevelt
time
quote.
Right here.
through
Ooh,
facing
like
challenges.
this.
Like
Do
that
one
saying,
thing
smooth
every day
seas
that
don't make
scares you.
skillful
Ooh,
sailors.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
It's not about
It's
seeking
those
out pain,
rough
Right.
patches,
but it's
those
about
storms we
acknowledging that
weather
growth
Yeah.
that
often
truly
happens
test our strength and
on
help us
the other
grow.
side of discomfort. That's good.
Yeah.
And,
And
the
speaking
article
of
points to
discomfort,
Job,
Okay.
Joseph,
The
and Paul as
article
examples
uses
of
this
this.
striking
They weren't
phrase,
superhuman.
Yeah.
They
Under
faced
pressure.
some truly horrific
Yeah,
situations.
that one really
got
me
But they
thinking.
learned
Such a
from those
visceral
experiences.
image,
They
right?
took
Yeah.
those
It
trials
captures
and
that
turned them
feeling
into
of being
opportunities for
completely
growth,
Right.
becoming more
overwhelmed. Like you
compassionate,
hit your
more
limit and you
determined,
just
Yeah.
can't take
more
it
aligned with
anymore.
their
We've all
purpose.
been there.
It's almost like those
whether it's
challenges
a
refine
mountain of work
them.
deadlines,
Yeah.
a
Gold
family
being
crisis,
purified in a
or even
fire.
just
I
the
love that
constant
analogy.
pressure to
And
be
that's a powerful
on all
message
the
for us,
time.
isn't it?
Yeah,
It is.
It's a
It
It
universal
means
human
that
experience.
no matter what
It
we've
is.
been through,
And the article
Yeah.
reminds us
those
that the Bible
experiences
is
can actually
full
contribute to
of
our resilience.
figures
They can become
who
part of our
faced this kind
story,
of
part of what
pressure,
makes us who we
who
are.
felt like giving up,
But how do we
Right.
actually
but
do
ultimately
that?
found a way to keep
How do
going.
we
Take those
Yeah.
painful
Like
experiences
Job,
and
who
turn
lost
them into something
everything.
positive.
Oh, man.
Yeah. His family,
The
his
article offers
wealth,
some really
Yeah.
practical
his
advice
health.
on this.
Yeah.
Starting with the
but
idea of
still
reflection.
refused
I
to
love
curse
that this is
God.
where the rubber meets
Powerful.
the road.
Right, or
Yeah.
Where we
Paul, who
move from
endured
theory into
persecution,
practice.
imprisonment,
Exactly.
Yeah.
The
even
article
shipwreck,
suggests
and
journaling
continued to
as a
spread
way
his
to
message
process
with
your
unwavering
emotions.
faith.
It's like
And
they
gain
found
clarity.
this source of
Okay.
strength
Yeah.
that
Journaling
went
can be such a
beyond their
powerful
circumstances,
tool,
something
Kevin.
that
Yeah.
allowed them to
That's amazing.
persevere.
Yeah.
It's like
Even
creating
when
they
they
felt like
say
they couldn't
space.
take another
Yeah.
step to
And that's
explore
the
your
key
thoughts and
takeaway
feelings
here, isn't
Right.
it?
I think
without
so.
It's
judgment
not about
or
being
censorship.
superhuman
Have you ever tried
or having
journaling?
some
Oh, yeah.
magical ability
Absolutely.
to resist
It's a practice
pressure.
I highly
Right.
recommend.
It's
Okay.
about
It allows you to get
finding
things
that source
out of your head
strength, whether
and
it's
onto
faith
paper.
community,
Yeah.
or
which can
even
make
just that
them
deep down belief in
less
ourselves
overwhelming.
and
Yeah.
drawing
and
on it
easier to
when things
understand.
get
It's like you're having a
It's like
conversation
we're all
with
carrying
yourself.
this well of resilience
And
inside
sometimes
us.
just the
And
act of writing
sometimes it
things
takes
down
those
Right.
can help
pressure
you
filled
identify
moments
patterns
to reveal
or
how deep
insights
it truly
that
is.
you
I
wouldn't
love
have
that
noticed
image.
otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay, so journaling is a
well of
great first step.
resilience.
Yeah.
And then the
where
next step
article
the
gets
article
really
mentions
practical,
because it
prayer
doesn't just leave
or
us with these
meditation.
inspiring stories. It actually
So those
outlines
practices
steps
can be
we
incredibly
can take
helpful for finding
to build
peace and
resilience
solace
and find
in the
purpose
midst
in our own
of
pain.
difficult times.
So we're
And
moving
even if
beyond
you're
the
not
theoretical
particularly
to the realm
religious,
of
meditation
like
can be a powerful
actionable
way to
advice,
quiet
Exactly.
the things you can
Absolutely.
implement.
Yeah,
It's
and
like hitting
it
the
starts
pause
with this
button
concept
on all
that
the
might
noise
seem
and chaos
simple,
of
but it's
life,
incredibly
Right.
powerful.
giving yourself a chance
reflection.
to breathe.
Okay.
The
Exactly.
article
reconnect with
suggests
your center.
journaling,
But it's
as a
not
way to
just about
process your
individual
emotions and gain
practices,
clarity
is it?
on what
No,
you're
it's
going
not.
through. The article
Yeah.
also
Have you ever tried
emphasizes the
journaling?
importance
Oh
of
yeah,
community
journaling is
support.
Yeah.
it's Remember a how we practice
talked
I
about
recommend
Job
to a
to
lot of
unhelpful
people.
friends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
It's
is
like
about finding
creating
a
those
safe
people who
space
truly get it,
Right.
to explore
can
your thoughts and
offer
feelings
Yeah.
without
support
judgment
and
Right,
understanding.
like no one's going to
without
You can be
judgment or
completely honest
unsolicited
with yourself in
advice,
a
It
journal.
might be family, friends,
which can be really
a support
liberating.
group,
Right.
or even a
And
therapist.
sometimes
The
just
key is
the
to surround
act of
yourself
writing
with
things
people
down
who can hold
can
space
help
for your
you
pain
identify
and help you to
patterns
feel
or
less
insights
alone.
that you wouldn't have
It's a
noticed
reminder that we're
otherwise.
It's
not
like you're
meant to
creating
go
a
through
map
difficult
of
times
your
in
own
isolation.
inner landscape.
We need each other.
Exactly.
And once
We
you
do.
have that
Especially
map, you
when
can
things
start
get
to
tough.
navigate your
Exactly.
pain.
It's
And
more
sometimes we
effectively.
might
Love
need
that.
more than just a
The
listening
next
ear.
step
The
Right.
article mentions
The article
is prayer
suggests
or
seeking
meditation.
guidance from mentors or
Yeah.
counselors.
Those practices can be really
for fresh
helpful
perspectives
for
and
finding
support.
peace and
What are your
solace
thoughts on that?
in the midst of
I think it's
difficult times.
incredibly valuable to
And
have
even if you're not
someone
particularly
who can offer a
religious,
different perspective,
meditation
someone who
can
can
be a
help
powerful
you
way
see things in a
Absolutely.
new light
to
Right.
quiet
or
the
offer
mind and
guidance
cultivate a sense of
based on their
inner
own
peace.
experiences.
It's like hitting the
Yeah.
pause
And
button.
there's absolutely no
on all the
shame
noise
in
and chaos
seeking
of life.
professional
Exactly.
help. Giving
Right.
yourself a chance to
In
just
fact,
breathe
it can be a
Yeah.
sign of
and
strength.
reconnect with your center.
It is,
But it's not
Self-awareness.
just about
Yeah,
individual
it's like admitting you
practices,
need
is it?
directions
No.
when you're lost.
The article also
Exactly.
emphasizes
You
the
wouldn't keep
importance
driving
of
around in
community
circles, would
support.
you?
No,
Remember how we were
wouldn't.
talking about
Pull over
Job's
and ask for
Right.
help.
Unhelpful
And it's the
friends.
same with
The
our
opposite
mental
of
and
that.
emotional well-being.
Yeah, this is about finding those
Absolutely.
people.
Yeah.
And
And
who
it's important
truly
to remember
get
that
it.
all
Yeah.
of these
Who
steps
can offer support and
interconnected.
understanding.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not about
without
doing just one
judgment
of these things.
Right.
Or
It's about
unsolicited
weaving them all
advice.
together.
Right. It
Yeah.
might be
To
family
create
friends, a
a
support group,
holistic
or even a
approach
therapist.
to healing
The key
and
is
growth.
to surround
like
yourself
tending a
with
garden.
people who can hold space for your pain
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a
and help you to
beautiful
feel
analogy.
You
less
need
alone.
sunlight, water,
It's a
fertile
reminder
soil and
that
consistent
we're not meant
care
to go
to
through
help those plants thrive.
difficult times in
And
isolation.
it's the same with our own well-being.
Right.
We need to nourish ourselves on
do.
multiple
Especially when
levels.
things get
Yeah.
tough.
And sometimes we
Mental,
might need more than just a
emotional,
listening
spiritual,
ear.
Right.
I love
The
that.
article
To
suggests
truly
seeking
flourish.
guidance
Beautiful.
from
Yeah.
mentors or
And I
counselors
think that
with
leads us
fresh
perfectly
perspectives
into
into
the
What are your thoughts
article's
on that?
exploration
I think that's a
of
great
community
idea.
and
Yeah.
Because
shared
sometimes we need
experience.
that
outside
as
perspective
we've
to
seen
help
these
us see
biblical
things
stories
more clearly,
highlight
or
the
to
importance
offer new
of
tools and
connection,
strategies
both
for
in
coping
positive
Right.
and negative
and
there's no
ways.
shame in
Right.
asking for
We've
help.
got
No,
Job's
not at all.
unhelpful
Especially
friends on
when
one
we're
hand,
dealing with
but then we
difficult
see the
emotions or situations.
powerful
In fact, it can be a sign of
system
strength and
in stories like
self-awareness.
It is.
David
to reach out.
and his
It's
loyal
like admitting you
followers.
need
Or
directions
Paul
when you're lost.
and his
Exactly.
You wouldn't just keep
network
driving
of
around in
believers.
circles, would you?
It really
You'd pull
underscores
over and
how
ask for help.
vital
Yeah.
And it's
community
the same
is.
with our mental and
Yeah.
emotional
Especially
well-being.
when we're
I
facing
think that's
challenges.
a perfect segue
It's a
Yeah.
reminder
into the
that
next
pain
part
is a
of our
human
deep dive, where we're going to
experience.
explore
And we're not
this
meant
idea
to go
of
through it
community
alone.
and shared
Absolutely.
Whether we're
experience
offering
in more
support
depth,
or receiving
because
it,
Yeah.
as we've seen so
community
far,
plays
Yeah.
a vital
these biblical
role in
stories,
how we
even though they're
process and overcome
thousands of years old,
those
Right.
difficult
still have
times.
so much
It's
to
about
teach us
recognizing
about
that
navigating
Right.
we're all
the
in this
inevitable
together.
challenges.
Mhm.
That even when we
Being
feel isolated or
it's like
alone,
they're
Yeah.
timeless.
there are people
They
out
are
there who
timeless.
understand what we're
It's
going
crazy
through
how
Yeah.
these
and are willing
stories
to
still
walk
kind of
alongside us on
resonate
our
with us
journey.
today.
And this theme
Yeah.
of community
You know, we
also
might not
ties
be
into the
facing
idea of
literal
shared
exile
experience, which
or
is something the
plagues,
article
but
touches
those
on as
core
well.
emotions,
By
Right.
sharing
doubt,
our
fear,
stories, our
Yeah.
that
struggles,
feeling of
our
being
triumphs,
overwhelmed,
Mhm.
Yeah.
we create a sense
they're
of
still
connection
so
and
relatable.
belonging.
we're
Absolutely. It's like
saying,
they
"I
tap
see you,
into
I
something
hear you, I've been there
universal about the
too."
human
Exactly.
and that could be
experience.
so validating.
And the
Yeah.
article
Especially
does
when
a
we're
good
feeling
job of
lost or alone in our
connecting
pain.
those
Yeah.
ancient struggles
And
by
to the
sharing
kind
our
of pressure we face in
experiences.
modern
We
life.
also
You know,
create
like
opportunities
having
for
too
others
much
to
on our
feel seen
plates,
and heard.
constantly
Exactly.
juggling.
It's like we're
work,
weaving a
family
tapestry
relationships and
that
trying to
image.
keep it
of
all
human
together.
experience.
And the article
Yeah.
actually
Each
uses
thread
this phrase,
representing a
fainting
unique
under
journey.
pressure,
But all
which I think perfectly
interconnected and
captures that feeling
contributing
of
to the
being
beauty of the
completely
whole.
drained.
It's a
like
powerful
you just
reminder
can't take it
that
anymore.
Yeah.
Even
Have
the
you
most
ever felt that
difficult
way?
experiences
absolutely. Yeah.
can
I think
become
we all have
sources
at
of
some point.
strength and
Yeah,
growth
it's like hitting that
Mhm.
wall
when we share them
where
with
you
others.
just want to
And I
shut
think that's
down
a
and hide
perfect
from the
segue
world.
into
Right.
But the thing
article's
is,
conclusion.
These
Okay.
biblical
Which offers a
figures,
really
even though
beautiful
they were
and hopeful
facing some pretty
Yeah.
intense
It reminds
situations,
us
that
they didn't
embracing
just
pain
give
as
up.
part of our
Mm-hmm.
They
journey
found a way to
allows
keep
us to
going.
cultivate
And that's what's so
resilience,
inspiring about their
build
stories.
empathy,
Is that
Yeah.
they
And
remind
ultimately
us
clarify our
Mhm.
purpose.
that even when
It's like
we
we're being
feel
invited
like
to shift our
fainting under
perspective.
pressure,
Yes.
to
Right.
see our struggles
there's
not
this
as obstacles,
source
but
of
as
strength
opportunities for
within
growth
us
and
that we can tap into.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
The
it
article
encourages us
highlights
to
a few
approach
examples of
those
this.
challenges
Like
with a
Job,
sense of
who
curiosity
remained
and
steadfast in his
Mhm.
faith,
knowing that
even
in
after
the midst
losing
of
everything.
pain,
Yeah.
There's
or
always a
Paul,
possibility
who faced
for healing and
persecution and
Beautiful.
imprisonment.
So as we wrap up
but
this
continue
part of
to
our
spread
deep
his
dive,
message
Okay.
with
what's
unwavering
one key
determination.
takeaway
Yeah.
you
So
hope
it's
our
like
listeners are
their
pondering
faith
right now?
became
I hope
this
they're reflecting
anchor
on the
that
power of
kept them
community.
grounded
Yeah.
even in the midst
and
of
shared
the storm.
experience.
And it's not just about having
recognizing
religious
that-
faith.
Right.
Even
It's about
though
finding that
pain
thing
can
that
feel
gives you strength.
isolating,
Whether it's
Right.
your
It's
family,
it's
your
actually something
community,
that connects us.
Your
Mhm.
passion
as
for a
human
cause,
beings.
or even
a
just that
beautiful
deep
thought.
down belief in
And
yourself.
I'd
Yeah,
add that
whatever
it's
it
not
is,
just
it's about
finding
recognizing
support
that
from
source of
others,
strength
but also
and
being
drawing
willing
on
to
it when
offer
things get
support
tough.
to
So
hold
it's not just
space
about
for someone
enduring the
else's pain.
pressure
Right.
without
But
judgment
actually
or the
finding
need
a
to fix
way
it.
to grow
Absolutely.
from it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when we
To
create
become
that
more
space
resilient,
for
more
vulnerability
capable,
and
Yeah.
authenticity,
more aligned with our
we're not
purpose.
just
Exactly.
helping others to
And the article
heal.
really
Right.
We're also
dives into
contributing
this
to
idea
our
of
own
resilience.
growth and
Okay.
understanding.
emphasizing
And that's what makes
that
this
it's not something you're
journey of
born
finding
with.
purpose
Right.
in pain
It's a
so
skill, a
profound.
muscle that
It's
you
not just
develop
about enduring
over time
hardship.
through
It's
facing
about
challenges.
transforming it
Like
into
that
something
saying, smooth
that
seas don't
strengthens
make
us,
skillful sailors.
connects us, and
I like
ultimately
that.
helps us
It's
to live
those
more
rough
meaningful
patches,
and
those
fulfilling
storms
lives.
we weather.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like
that truly
um,
test our
the article's
strength
giving us
and help
permission to
grow.
acknowledge that,
That's good.
pain
And
is a part
the
of
article
life,
points
right.
to
but it
Job,
doesn't have to
Joseph, and Paul,
define
and
us.
examples of
Exactly.
this.
Mhm.
It's
They
about
weren't
finding that shift
superhuman.
in perspective.
They faced some
Seeing
truly
pain,
horrific
not as something to
situations,
fear,
Right.
but
But they
as a
learned
teacher.
from those
Yeah.
experiences.
They took
guide
those
on the
trials
path
and
to
turned them into
finding our
opportunities for
purpose.
growth.
Right.
It really
Becoming more
resonates with me.
compassionate, more
And
determined,
speaking of
Yeah.
purpose,
more aligned with their purpose.
that's where the article's
It's almost like
final
those challenges
message really hit
refined
home
them.
for me.
Yeah.
Like this
Gold
idea of
being purified
embracing
in a
pain
fire.
I
as
love that
part of our
analogy.
journey.
And that's a
You
powerful
mean how the
message for
article
us, isn't it?
encourages
It
us
is.
to
It
see our
means that
struggles?
Yeah.
no matter
Not as
what we've
setbacks,
been
but as
through,
opportunities.
Yes.
those
It
experiences
seems
can
counterintuitive
actually
at first,
contribute
right?
to
Like,
our
why would we ever
resilience.
want
They
to
can become
embrace
part of our
pain?
story,
Right.
part of
Well,
what makes
because
us
it's
who
often
we
through
are.
those difficult
But how
experiences,
do we
those moments
actually
of darkness
do
and
that?
struggle.
Right.
How do we
That we
take those
discover
painful
our true
experiences strength
Yeah.
and turn them into something
Our
positive.
resilience and
Yeah.
our capacity
The article
for love and
offers some really
compassion.
practical
It's like those
advice on
sayings,
this.
what doesn't
Starting
kill
with the
you makes
idea
you
of
stronger.
reflection.
Or
I
no
love
pain, no
that this
gain.
is where the rubber
Right.
meets the
But
road.
the
The
art
art where we move from
takes those
theory into
cliches
practice.
and gives them a
Exactly.
The
deeper
article
spiritual
suggests
meaning
journaling
It reminds us
as
that
a way
pain
to
isn't
process your emotions
meaningless or random.
and gain clarity.
It's
Okay.
part of a
What you're going
larger
through.
tapestry.
Journaling can be
Yeah.
such
It's
a
being
powerful
woven
tool,
even when we
candidate.
can't
Oh,
see
it's
the full
amazing.
picture.
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
creating
And by
a safe
leaning
space
into that
Yeah.
to explore your
discomfort,
thoughts
Yeah.
and feelings
Right.
we can
without
start to see the
judgment or
threads of
censorship.
that
Have you ever
tapestry,
tried
the
journaling?
connections between our
Yeah,
struggles
absolutely.
and our purpose.
It's a practice
It's
I
like
highly
we're being
recommend.
invited
Okay.
to
It allows you to
participate
get things
Right.
in
out of
the
your head
creation of our own
and onto
lives.
paper.
Yeah.
Even the messy,
Which can
painful
make them
parts.
That's a
less
powerful way to
overwhelming.
look at it.
Yeah.
and easier
So
to
as we
understand.
wrap up this
It's like
deep
you're
dive,
having a
what's
conversation
one
with
key
yourself.
takeaway
Yeah.
you hope our listener walks
And
away
sometimes
with today?
just the act
I
of
hope
writing
they
things
remember
down
that pain
Right.
is
can
not
help
the
you
enemy.
identify
It's a
patterns
teacher.
or insights
Mhm.
A
that
guide.
you wouldn't have
Mhm.
noticed
A
otherwise.
catalyst.
Okay,
for
so journaling is a great
transformation.
first step.
And
Yeah.
by embracing
And then the next step
pain,
the article
by
mentions
leaning
is
into the
prayer
discomfort
or
and
meditation.
seeking support from our
Okay.
communities.
Yeah.
So those
We can
practices
discover
can
a
be
depth of
incredibly
purpose
helpful
and
for
meaning
finding
that we never thought
peace
possible.
and solace
Beautifully
Mhm.
said.
in the
Mhm.
midst of
And I'd add
difficult
that
times.
This
And
is a
even if you're
journey,
not
not a
particularly
destination.
religious,
There's
Yeah.
no finish
meditation
line
can be a
when it
powerful
comes to
way
finding
to
purpose
quiet
in pain.
the mind.
It's
Absolutely.
about showing up
It's
each
like hitting
day,
the pause button,
being
Mhm.
present
on all the
with
noise
our
and chaos of
experiences,
life,
Right.
and trusting
giving
that
yourself a chance to
even in the
breathe
midst
and
of darkness,
reconnect with your
there's
center.
always
But
a
it's not
spark of
just
light
about
within us.
individual
And that
practices,
spark can guide
is
us
it?
No,
toward
it's not.
healing.
The article also
growth, and
emphasizes
ultimately
the
a
importance
life
of
that's
community
rich
support
Yeah.
with meaning.
Remember
and
how we talked
purpose.
about Job's unhelpful
said.
friends?
Yeah.
But
Thanks
this
for
is
joining
about
us.
finding
Yeah.
those
Deep
people who
dive
truly
into
get
finding
it,
Right.
purpose in
who
pain,
can
Yeah.
offer
we hope you found it
support and
insightful.
understanding,
and maybe even
Mhm.
without
inspire.
judgment or
And remember,
unsolicited
even
advice.
small steps.
It might be
toward
family, friends,
acknowledging and learning
a
from your
support group,
pain, can
or
lead
even a
to
therapist.
incredible
The key is to
breakthroughs.
surround yourself
You
with
can.
people
Keep
who
exploring,
can hold
keep
space for your
reflecting, and keep
pain
connecting.
and help you to feel less alone.
You got this.
It's a reminder that we're not meant to go through difficult